Okay, this is you know who trying to do a voice comment for, can't pronounce this, Aidan the Phoenix, original character from Lionheart. I'm going to suck at it because it's completely unscripted. I don't really know what I'm doing, and I have a habit of just cutting my sentences. Okay, backstory. This is intimidating. This excessive backstory before you actually learn about who Aidan is. This guy is the important bit. If you're going to put the focus on the backstory, then it would be better to have this story up here above the actual moveset itself. You know, kind of a mood setter, not because here it sets our expectations. It makes us think, yeah, this set is about the character, and it is mostly. But when the first thing that happens is you enter this introductory story about the world that he lives in, it takes you out of it. It's not quite. It's not engaging, and that's a big problem. Let's skip on ahead. Okay, the main mechanic, which is about making songs using notes. That's good. I like that. Very good. It encourages a certain versatility here. There's a lot of possible songs, and if I remember correctly, each note also does a certain task. It helps the next attack, or even the next attacks, because some of them don't remove the effect. Alright, no, nothing really bad here. Well, nothing bad at all. What am I saying? It's good. Stats. This is very traditionalist, right from things like MYMX and 5, including the things like saying you don't have a crawl or a wall cling, which would be expected if you just kind of remove them. I'm sure we wouldn't expect them not to have a crawl. Okay, these quotes. I assume you brainstormed them or wrote part of your story out already and you're quoting them from the story. They do seem completely... They don't seem to help when they're out of context. Let's see. Specials. This is actually quite nice that the specials are very short. It's a nice change, and it really recalls the old MYM tactics of having nearly every attack the same length. The problem here, and this kind of links into the main mechanic, is that each of these specials, the first three, are essentially the same thing, and they can be combined into a single attack. The only reason I can see that you would want to have them as three specials is if they had other effects when you used them, like if Notifier if it released a Notifier, like a projectile. And I know that would kind of ruin it, as it would be a visual tell, but that's really what this kind of implies. This implies that since you've got them on three different inputs, that each input is going to visually tell the player what they've just pressed. Because otherwise this is going to be absolutely hell for any player to get into. I mean, not least because they also have to attack before anything is actually visible about these specials. You use the special, and then you have to land an attack in order to make a note appear. And people are just not going to get that. They simply won't. They will not see that. They will have to be told specifically, and I don't like that about sets. I don't like having to be told how to do something. Wings of Aidan. It's a flight recovery. Decent enough. Let's see. Flight slow. Doesn't leave him helpless after ending. That's okay. I would probably say that he should enter helpless after ending because it can be combined with his notes, and especially the note of fire, which allows him to attack while flying, kind of like Peach, only like those Dragon Ball Z sets. Note of burning turns you into. Sorry, I'm just reading a bit. Note of explosion. That's quite nice. The fact that there's a brief delay if you use the note of explosion, and that's probably why I would have recommended that these three be combined into one attack, because as this way it needs a visual tell in order to work as a move. If you put it on one attack and maybe have him strum a lute when he does that, and then note comes out, but you don't know what kind of note because you have to use another input while you're doing the attack, or it just defaults to fire. I don't know. If you do that, then you don't have to have a visual tell that you've used a specific note until you've landed the attack. That's kind of my problem about the whole mechanic. It needs a visual tell, or it needs to be on a single attack, with the single attack having a visual tell of the fact that you're using the attack. And this reminds me of Gwen, which is an awesome set, by the way, but a lot of Gwen has absolutely no visual detail, visual aids for the player. They don't have any fucking clue what they're doing, as they use a forward tilt or a down special or whatever. Alright, I'm going to move on. Oh wait, no, sorry. I kind of went off on a tangent there. I like this note of explosion thing because the delay is obviously going to psych the player out, the opposition out, and allow Aidan to land a note of explosion attack. That I kind of like. Moving on. Another quote out of context. It's not that bad. Fight on Sir Aidan. Jabs. Jab. This is reasonable. You're piling on curses which you can detonate. Personally, I would have simplified it so that the knockback happens at the end of the attack regardless. It automatically detonates, because you've got taunt that can detonate all your cursey things, and the only other option is to hold the input, which is it's kind of up there with not having a visual tell for awkwardness. But it's otherwise a great move. It does play into a lot of things, and it would be a big shame to remove the ability to detonate them on command. Alright, dash attack. This is... I remember saying this when I was actually reading it. I remember that this... It really reminds me of that one move Wario does. The Warlord mode Wario, not the actual Wario. The one where he's doing a shoulder barge, so I assume that's a side special. He's shoulder barging, but he can do other stuff. God knows why. Because when you think Wario doing a shoulder barge, you think other attacks. But no, I'm sorry, I'm starting to bitch. But yeah, that reminds me of that. I think that would be a bit excessive in it. It works for the player. It certainly works for the player. None of the other attacks that you have are going to confuse the player in that they aren't really specific in how you use them. So you can use them doing a dash attack without being confused as fuck. But there's a lot of possible abuses for something like that. You've got, now we get these attacks, forward tilt. Already forgotten what it was. I'm going to have to read it. A reasonably bland attack, which is good because I kind of like these attacks. I like it when I don't like it when a person uses a filler attack. Just like I do a kick and it knocks the foe away. I much prefer very limited, very simple attacks that the author demonstratedly knows works in a certain way and can help the playstyle. That's the important bit. It's not about how generic a move is. It's about how much it actually helps set the character for the player and how it works in motion, really, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, I'm going to move on from that. Fiery wings. Yep, I'm going to keep reading. Another decent move. I think all of these tilts are reasonable. I mean, I might have preferred to see a little bit more of a twist at the end of them, but this is good. This is good stuff. The Phoenix Crescent is a good animation. It's expressive and it demonstrates the powers. It might have been something more suited to an upward smash due to its forceful nature. That's something I probably want to talk about later, maybe in a comment or something. Just the fact that people aren't putting inputs where they should be. Like a forward smash, it's a forward forceful attack. It's not ostensibly about use or KO power or even the ability to charge. It's the force of the attack. It's a forward focus. Yes, I'm moving on. Down tilt. Reedy. It's a stomp. I don't like stomps. Don't like them. Don't like stomps with small hitboxes too. Probably, judging from the character, I would say closer to a sweeping kick to the shins. I'm not sure. I mean, a forward stomp with a fiery foot. I mean, from a crouch, how's that going to look? Yeah. Over analyzing. Note of explosion has a very interesting effect, apparently. Could cause extra knockback. Yep, that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but that kind of stuff that doesn't make sense on reading, that can be visually brought across when you actually play it in Brawl. I mean, every stomp could apply a bit of a fiery aura to the opponent, and the amount of aura they have indicates how many stomps you've landed. That could work, although that would spill over into any other kind of set fire to the opponent move. So it's important to establish the visual details of stats effects like this, so that the reader knows and can be confident in the fact that when you use the attack, you're going to know it's in effect, rather than it being an invisible background thing that just suddenly randomly jumps out of nowhere at you.